wrong.
We are here.
We're here. We're back. Happy Thursday. And we have a wonderful guest today. We have Tacy Locke and we have Kathy Ferris. And we want to say wings and prayers and drinks, free drinks to Jimmy Hurley, who had bypass surgery. And we love him so much and we miss him so much. And we really miss Christine and to all the kids. So anyway, you're going to be great, Jimmy. They're just cleaning out the pipes. You're going to be in better shape. Yeah, here's to Jimmy. Everybody raise a glass to Jimmy, because we love the Jimmy and we love the Christine. And Kelly will be back tomorrow. And so now we're just going to kick it off. I'm really so happy to have my friend Tacy Locke. And yeah, we're going towards New York friends now, but she's lived in Connecticut, so she qualifies in that New England box.
Yes.
And I was actually, the reason she's invited is I was online just laughing hysterically. She's making all these music videos that you never did music videos before, did you?
No, I never have. It's a product of the pandemic, you know, just start doing things where you've never done before.
Well, I have to tell them who you are too. I mean, besides being, I mean, you're a real comic, you're a real road comic. I mean, you've earned your stripes. But Tacy has also done warm up for many people, Harry Connick Jr., Meredith Vieira, Katie Couric, but now for Mel Robbins. And it turns out Kathy Ferris knows all about Mel Robbins and Kat Rose knows all about Mel Robbins. So please tell me about Mel. I'm the one who needs Mel Robbins the most, probably. But I mean, what is she like? I don't know anything.
Okay, well, Mel Robbins is, the great part about this, Jane, is that I was a huge fan of Mel Robbins prior to working on her show.
Oh, that's
so I had seen her TED Talk when she did the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, when you're trying to make decisions. And she talks about how that there's a specific thing that happens in your brain where your brain will try to talk you out of something if you don't do it within 5 seconds. So it's you count backwards from 5, and it does something in your brain where it crosses signals and you don't think for a split second and you'll actually do it. So long story short, I'd seen her TED Talk. Yeah, I'd seen her TED Talks, and here's this is a really cool story about manifesting. So I was working on a convention where she was the keynote speaker. And I was one of the hosts that was coming out doing different things. And I saw her backstage. It was just she and I. Now I knew who she was. She had no idea who I was. We're backstage walking towards each other and she goes like this. And I was like, okay. And I gave her a big hug and then she holds me back and she goes, I don't know you, do I? And I said to her, no, but I'll work with you someday. And she said, I think we will. And then she walked and went to do her speech and I kept walking.
What year was that?
So that was 2 years ago. And then last summer, I got a phone call and they said, Mel Robbins is doing a show. Are you interested? And I was like, yes. And it's the first show I didn't have to audition. They just called me and said, come on in. We'd love to have you. And she's phenomenal. She's everything you thought she'd be and more. She's super down to earth. She's so nice. She's so smart. She's fantastic. And this will tell you, so I've worked on all these different television shows with a lot of great people. This is the first time it ever happened. So about a month into working, I get a phone call from her assistant and she's like, Mel would like you to meet her for dinner tonight. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, production staff will all go, blah, blah, blah. So it's Nobu, which I'm so excited because I've never been to Nobu.
Oh, Nobu, yum, yum.
I show up there and it's just she and I.
Oh, what a good person.
That cool. So we sat for an hour. She was super cool. And she asked me
like a free session, like a life coaching session. Or like,
of course, you know, Kath, I made it go that way, of course, because it's like having the Dalai Lama with you. You're like, I have to ask a question. I have to ask. But I tried to keep it professional up until we were like 2 drinks in and then I started going.
Oh, then you're going to lose it then. Yeah.
It's like a doctor when they're like, I got this rash. Where exactly. Like, I have this stumbling block in my life that I always wanted to be a Broadway singer. Do you think it's too late?
Exactly right. Exactly right. But she's super cool, very invested. And the thing I love about her is that she empowers women and she's really into empowering women. And the way that she does it is taking responsibility, not blaming anyone else. It's not that I'm blaming my parents, my mother, none of that. So she calls people out on their stuff, which is really great to watch on television. So it was like watching a therapy session every day on television, but you'd find yourself backstage taking notes. because it
Wow.
was that kind of, like, there'd be tangible takeaways.
You
That's
said
her-
she's the highest paid female speaker out there.
She's the highest paid female speaker in the world, in the world.
And isn't it amazing where she came from too? I mean, I know we're here for you, Tracy.
yeah, no,
like-
we can talk about Mel all day. Trust me, I love her.
Bankruptcy and, you
Yes.
know, like
Really?
a lot of people face, you know, where her and her husband are both working and,
Yeah.
you know, restaurant business, unfulfilled jobs there and just came back, you know?
Yeah, she tells the story. She was
It's
over
fascinating.
$800,000 in debt because her husband, she's an attorney, but her husband's a restaurateur, and they did one restaurant was very successful, and then they went into the second, and then they invested. The thing that's interesting is they invested not only their own money, they have 3 children, their college money.
Uh-oh.
Yep, here we go. And then they started to invest neighbors and friends' money, and then lost it all. And that's when you know it's. So
Ouch.
that's how she got the 5-second rule, because she was severely depressed and she was drinking, and she admits all this. She talks about this. It was what makes her so real. And she said to herself, I've got to get out of this. How am I going to do it? And that's the beginning of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's so weird is that I just started reading the book, 5-Second Rule, because I'm cheap. I was waiting for it to come digital from my library, and I got it. And I was reading it, and then Jane had told us you were coming on. I'm like, wow, that's so. I don't believe in coincidence.
No, definitely.
But I'll tell you, I've used that 5-second rule, and I use it today because my weekly show is coming back online. And so I just started messaging like big name comedians to be like, will you be on my show? Will you be on my show? We can't pay you. It's a nonprofit, but will you be on my show? Who cares? Like, I'm not afraid to get a no, but it's so true how you just start talking yourself out of it.
Exactly.
Tell Tracy about your show, Ferris and Friends.
Oh, okay. Let's plug that. Ferris and Friends. It's with Improv Boston, which is a nonprofit theater here in Boston, which is such a great place. And they are scrimping right now, as every nonprofit is. But we're bringing back Ferris and Friends, which is a show that I have seasoned comedians on, which, ladies, if you'd like to be on it, I'd love to have you on it.
I was going to say, I haven't gotten an email yet.
That's right. I'm ready.
We're in.
I was sending a text, and it was like passive aggressive guilt text. But we also have newcomers on because we are
That's a good idea.
People.
Yeah.
So we have students that like this is their first show other than showcase, because I wanted to give that experience to them of being on a show with experienced, seasoned people. And I wanted to give seasoned people like a time to breathe and just work through stuff and kind of have this like happy medium.
I hope you're keeping it short. You know, I really, 5 or 6, even for the pros, I think.
50
how
minutes
long is your whole show?
50 minutes slots.
Oh, 15-minute slots? Ooh, that's long.
No, 50. 50.
Oh, 50,
Less than
the
an
whole
hour.
show. Got it.
You're like, okay,
Yeah,
that's better.
listen, yeah.
I know it is. It is interesting in this time of Zoom to try to do stand up for long sets. I think it's.
I've heard people. I won't say their names, but it sounds like Haney and Green. They're 2 of my favorites. And they were doing 10-minute or 15-minute sets, and the next time they did it, they were doing half that long. I said to my friend who was producing it, I love these women, and my attention span, our attention spans are shorter right now. I don't know why, but
I
maybe
agree with
the
that.
stress of everything, but like, I want variety, I want happy, I want smart comedy.
Yes.
I really can't go on a long ride right now.
Right. I think that's what everyone's feeling. Absolutely. That's what I've heard. The consensus is short sets, in and out, sweet. People, it's to that point, Jane, people cannot sit and just.
Yeah, I think there's so much other incoming, that, but so Tracy, what is a warm-up? I tried it once to be a warm-up comic. It's its own animal. What I figured out is it's really more being an MC than a stand-up. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So to people who are listening and don't know, instead of saying my sad little story, tell them how it's done. Tell them how it's done.
Okay, so what it is, it's so interesting. When I first started doing it, I was introduced to the business through Dina Blizzard. I'm sure you know Dina.
Oh, yes, I love her.
So I worked with her one time. She came up to me because I do a ton of crowd work, and she said, "You'd be a great warm-up." And I was like, I don't even know what that is. She's like, oh, it's something where you distract the audience while things are happening. So they're having a great time. Long story short, she calls me 3 weeks later and says to me, Katie Couric is doing a show. They want me to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'll train you if you come in. How great is this?
How
She's
great
like my guardian angel.
I have to tell you one story about Dina Blizzard, sidebar.
Yeah.
Ladies of Laughter, I won in the pro category. Dina Blizzard won in the newcomer category. And I listened to her and they're like, thank God she wasn't in the pro category. And she's a really good girl. I actually heard her warm-up seminar at Women in Comedy Festival, which a lot happens at Improv Boston, where Kathy is. But anyway, go ahead. So how did she train you?
So I just watched her. I watched what she was doing. And to your point, Jane, I just was assuming it's stand-up and I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I? And it has nothing to do with
that's what I learned.
Really?
You can do stand-up within it, but the key to warm up that I found out very quickly from watching Dina is it's not about you. When stand-up is about you, warm-up is about the audience. So you are there, you're the Julie McCoy, you are there to make sure they have a great experience. Yep. So when they come in, you're telling them what's happening, you're explaining what's happening when the sets are changing or when there's a costume change or, anything like that. If there's any kind of problem, you're explaining it. If there's any kind of, anything could happen. And
so you're the host. You're really the host of the whole show.
You really are. And they get to know you more than they know the host of the show, which is so funny because I'll never forget. So I'm working for Katie Couric and I'm about 3 months in and I, wear an earpiece and they say to me, you're going to have to stretch. So I was like, okay, because you do about 20 to 25 minutes at the top. And then
that's a long time.
Right. And then you do in between at the commercial break. So it can be, because none of the shows that I worked on were live. If it's live, it's over in 5 seconds, but it's not live. Mine were live to tape, so they can take like 20 minutes in between each thing to reset lights and whatever.
So I see.
I do 20 minutes and you guys know. So I'm doing 20 minutes and I'm like, okay. And then they go stretch. And I said, okay, how long do you think I'm gonna have to stretch? And they go, well, Katie was backstage and she had a nut and she bit into it and broke her front tooth. So we're taking her to the dentist. And I was like,
well, that's not a stretch. That's a black hole.
I would have changed the signs to my own show.
So an hour and a half later, no lie, they start the show. You name it, I did it. I was having a talent show. I was doing improv games. I was interviewing everyone in the audience. It was hilarious.
Everything in your bag of tricks you use. I got stuck once. A comedian was an hour late. She never worked for me again. Needless to say, no matter. And she was talented of like all my female comedian friends. That was it. Boom. Off the list. I can't. And I had a talent show. I'd done my thing. We're a half an hour in. She didn't come. And I said, Carolyn isn't. Oh, sorry to say the name. Isn't here. So. Oh no, I have no filters left. Who am I kidding? Okay, so I said, she's not here. By the way, does anybody have a favorite song they like or special, trick or whatever, dance? Literally, we had a talent show for the next hour. And you know what? It was fantastic.
Right.
But that is heavy lifting. My hat's off to you.
I know, but do you know what's so funny? Jane, to your point, the funniest thing was after that show, people come up to me and they go, that is the most fun we've ever had at a TV taping because it was all about them. And that's what I learned.
I'm going to go write that down because that's not how I live my life.
That is like hosting a show because I think being the host, even though you're a comedian, is a different animal. And so many people, we don't learn the skill of it, where when you first get out there, you're not going to kill for 5. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make them feel warm and like come in.
I feel like the great headliners are also great MCs. Yes. And like if the two people preceding them don't do well, they can be their own opening act and they know how to do the crowd work. Maybe they do less once you're a headliner, but sometimes you got to warm up your own audience. Or if it's just you, you got to warm up your audience yourself.
Absolutely.
But like, do you play games with them at all?
I do. You know what I do? I love interviewing them. I love finding out about them, and I break them up in teams, and then I do competitions with them. But I do a lot of improv. My original background is improv.
You did like UCB and Second City, and
Yes.
Kathy's also big improv.
Okay,
No,
then
I'm
you.
not.
I envy you
I
guys.
always do that. I'm not improv. I haven't taken no improv.
Oh, okay, you have
Oh,
not.
I thought that was improv
No, I'm
Boston.
just naturally talented. No, I'm not improv at all.
I love it. No, but
So
I
do you have like go-to questions that you ask them? Because you keep saying like you interview them. Are there like go-to questions that you go?
Sure, like where are you from? I'll say what I do is I break them up into teams and I make them do a team cheer as a group. And they love that. And they come up with the most incredible cheers. It's hilarious. And they put like,
That's brilliant.
yeah, they do choreography, they do all kinds of things together. And so then I assign a captain. And then I'll say, what's your name? Where are you from? And then I'll always say, what is your magical talent that no one knows about? And
I love
here's
that.
the crazy part. 9 times out of 10, they will tell you, which you think that people wouldn't tell you, but they're like, oh, I'm a really good singer, but I've never sung in front of anyone before.
Oh.
And so, of course, you know what I do? I pull them out on stage and I go, well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, making their debut right now. And then I get the crowd to cheer for them. And
Do you
it's
want to record those? I would
yes.
Love that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
record them and then how do you get them to them or just keep them for yourself?
So we record them and a lot of them go onto Mel's website, which is smart because it just shows the audience.
That's
and
really
that's part
right.
of smart.
Smart.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's the majority of where they go. But yeah, the people, and then the crazy part is then it creates camaraderie and they come back and they'll say, remember me? I'm the one that sang Love Boat. Or
Oh, and they come back as audience members.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
this is all so
Wow, that Love Boat theme is going to be in my head for the rest of the day.
Believe me.
The things that you're not able to do, like, you know, sometimes when you go to a show, like, don't talk about this, stay away from that.
Yes.
Are there
So
things?
you're not able to talk, obviously, no politics, which I wouldn't do anyway. I'm not a political comedian. No ethnic, nothing regarding any kind of ethnic. It's got to be super G-rated. It's Disney. It's got to be Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the warm-ups I've heard are not. The warm-ups that do late night show, they have a lot more leeway. But because I do a daytime television show, they say just keep it G-rated, and so we do. So it's got to be anything that you would do in front of kids.
Do you sing with them at all?
I do. I do
didn't
sing
really
with them.
a singer until I saw these videos and they're like, why has she kept this under wraps? It's
I know
all going straight in your act now because
that's right.
now if I had that ability, I mean, I want to sing and I can't sing. It's killing me. But you really can. I would never. Oh my God, you're so lucky.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and so I've got to figure out a way to put it in. Exactly right. Well, you know too. You both know when you start out in comedy, you're told so many things of like, don't do this, don't do that.
Do props. I had a headband and a nightgown, and then I had to, throw them away. But now
I think you should become the next Carrot Top. I don't know why you're not.
man,
Right.
It's.
Wait, what is that?
I don't know if he's alive. I love you.
I love it.
I'm very
Are you doing
musical.
the
I just
puppetry?
can't sing.
I love it.
Sorry, I don't know how to. I got to put him in the other room.
I like that Jane's going to get into puppetry. I've always been pushing her to do that.
Exactly. But I do think the point of that is like you should do whatever you want to do because I've like all of the comedians that have had great success just did what they wanted to do. They didn't listen to what other comedians told them to do.
This is like the advice show for comedy. This is
Yeah, I love it. I think you're right. And the other thing is that they have fun.
Yes.
My first 5 years, it was always about, what am I saying? What am I doing? There's some people who come in and they're like, what am I going to talk about tonight? Like, oh, let me look at this audience. I mean, like, let's have some fun. I'm like, who are you?
Right.
That's where I want to get to.
Yeah, no, that's really important. I think that's so important. There's 2 facets to that, which I think I know Jane will speak to this because I've screwed myself so many times doing this, which I'm sure you have. You can never tell what an audience wants, even though you think you do, because there's times where I've been like, oh, let me take a look at this audience, and I change my set based on what I think they want, and they want the complete opposite. But what I do find, and warm up has helped me, is that you're able to read an audience once you've done it enough in the fact that, to your point, Kath, they can tell when you're telling the truth and you're having a great time up there. When you are not having a good time and you are too worried about what you're saying material-wise, they can feel that. But when you are like, I'm going to have a great time with you, they can feel that as well. So
this is all such incredible advice. It's true. And I think authentic reads to the back of the room. It took me
Nope.
so long to get there. I like tried on so many personas.
Yep. Yep.
And I didn't realize that I was enough. Actually, I think I'm I plus 10%. Or am I unsupervised? You know, not Greenwich I, a little between Greenwich and Brockton I. But, but you know, I can be a little more exuberant than I might be in front of my husband.
Sure.
Because I want to stay married. But the
Do we?
he can cook. No, yes. Yes, I can. He can cook. Okay. He doesn't do holidays. He doesn't do
That's
birthdays.
your number one? Okay.
No, and he's not mentally ill and he doesn't drink that much. I mean, this, I got a winner. I got a winner. This
You
is
do. You do.
He's got a great benefit package and he can make a mean fettuccine Alfredo.
Exactly.
Listen, you make beurre blanc, I'm yours. What do you want me to do? I'm headed up to the bedroom. What do you want to do? Okay.
I always said that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just a sucker for a tall, smart guy with a video game addiction. And you throw in a little unprovoked road rage and I am yours.
Tell us about your new boyfriend, Tracy.
Oh God, he's phenomenal. He's a chef. So there you go.
See, am I right? Am I right?
Yes, a man that can
I
cook.
know how women won men over with food because I went, you can fucking
Is he
cook.
working now, Tracy?
He does not cook now, but he went to Johnson & Wales. He graduated from Johnson & Wales cooking school, and he's now in sales, but he always dabbles. He always is dabbling in being, you know, cooking, and he's fabulous. And any holiday parties, I just literally have to say, he does it from soup to nuts. Like he'll make a list. He makes the list. He goes shopping. He prepares it. He serves it. I'm the entertainment.
Here, I make the fire and I set the table.
Yeah, I want to be invited to your party because it's probably not like burgers and, you know, hot dogs. Right?
No, he's no joke. All my friends are like, wow.
But he was in your music video, tell them about that video.
Oh my God. He's been in, so now he's been in two because
for the Rebbe, but
yes, he was so he has been growing a beard, you know, his coronavirus beard, not coronavirus, but I should say quarantine beard.
I think that's a better way to say it. A quarantine beard, not a coronavirus.
Yes, no. He calls it
a completely different color than what you thought it would be.
Well, it's all different colors. It's crazy. And the funny part is it's his Stanley Cup beard, according to him. So just like they wait for the Stanley Cup to grow the beard, he's waiting for the end of quarantine as much as I beg. So we did Fiddler on the Roof because every time I see him, I say to him, you look like a rabbi with that beard. It's so like long and out of control. So that's what gave me the
that was the Fiddler on the Roof one. And I loved.
You should put a link to it.
Kathy, you may know more. Actually, I'll pick up the links. I'm not going to make you do work, Tracy.
Oh, that's okay.
But I love she has Elton John ones, but like, I know that Kathy and Kelly and Christine, they're more musical than I am. I'd heard of Twisted Sister, but like, I know Twisted Sister.
Yeah, she's got legs.
That was so amazing. My God, that was a really funny one. I wrote down some of the lines from that. What was that one? I got it. No, that was Elton. Okay. I love this. You'll appreciate this, Kat. She has two girls. We're not going to have hot food anymore. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to bake it. And they're like,
right. So instead of we're not going to make it, Kathy, I'm not going to bake it. No, I ain't going to bake it.
That's my daughter's favorite song too.
Oh, okay, then tell her we're not having hot food anymore.
I would, but she left today for some reason. She had no business wanting to be with us anymore. She left at 9 a.m.
So and the way you were dressed up, I mean, it's using all of your creative juices, which I love. And then the one to Elton John was about how my roots have come in. I've got a double chin. I'm growing facial hair. I fear I'm a pandemic product of the USA. I'm not singing, but
yes, exactly.
How long does it take to make that? How long does it take?
Usually what happens is Chris has been great because he's been my cameraman, which I am forever beholden to him for that, because you know how important that is. And it's so funny because we, as women, you know, the older we get, the more important lighting is, right? And so he literally wears his hiking, you know, the light.
Like the LL Bean headlamp.
Yeah, he's got the right on his head, and then we have lamps from all over because I've ordered a ring light, but it's still not here. And
I just got mine. I ordered it.
You should take a picture of your set.
Yes, it's So it is hilarious. So it usually takes us a couple of hours to put it together total once we start. So I write it.
Believe the number of cereals she had in the Elton John one. It was like, where did
Now,
you
here's the thing. I'm going to be dating myself, but what you probably should do with that, with him having that on,
Yes.
maybe bring back Debbie Boone and do You Light Up My Life.
I love it. That's so great. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, Jane, here's the funniest thing.
Tell us more about like how you set them up and all that. People want to know. It's not easy.
Yeah, the funny part to the one you're talking about. So the Elton John was about how, you just keep eating. Everyone's eating. And so it's the song Saturday Night's All Right for fighting, and I change it to Every Night's All Right for eating. And then I just talk about how all we're doing is just eating constantly. But the funniest part was I've been doing all the ordering for our house through Aldi. And Chris said to me, they don't have some of the stuff that I want. Can I just make the order? And I said, sure. He made the order, and if you see the video, his order was on the table. So it's Coca-Cola, Ring Dings, Captain Crunch, potato chips, anything junk was there on the table. And I'm thinking to myself, people are going to think that's what I eat. That's what I eat. So I put a disclaimer in the video. This was Chris's order.
Oh, I love that. Kathy is the snack cake queen.
Yeah, I'm a snack cake enthusiast. So
okay, all right. Well, I'm from
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
You invite me to your next party because I could hold my own in a small conversation there.
That's fantastic. We will, because I'm originally from Philadelphia, which, as you know, is the home of Tasty Cake. So any kind of tasty cake that you're familiar with, I am a tasty cake connoisseur, I must admit.
Okay.
I love these regional foods. Like I still haven't found a better relish than Cane's relish. It's like how do you say? Not pumpernickel. What's the word?
Oh yeah.
But I just put it in my tuna today. I can't. Okay, there's a little COVID. Okay, never mind. All right. So
let's blame it on COVID.
I'm going to blame it all on COVID. It's not happening anymore. It's COVID.
I keep saying that. When in the daytime TV, when you're hearing these things about these lawyers that come on about, have you experienced a surgery with vaginal mesh? It's not going to be that anymore. It's going to be the COVID thing.
Yes. Are you now 40?
If you go to Shaw's and have COVID, call us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Craziness.
But when did you first know you could sing?
So the crazy part is when I was in junior high or in grade school, I would do the plays. And then if you remember how it works is once you hit high school, you can either play sports or you can be in theater, but you can't do both.
And you're a jock.
And I am. So I chose sports, but I've always loved theater. And I just would always try to get back to it. And then, when you're doing comedy, you can't do both because you can't commit to a run in theater, which I would ultimately love to do. Because again, as I get older, you want the camaraderie of a group of people rather than just by yourself on the road. You know how that goes.
Oh, I always say half my pay is watching my fellow comedians. And the other thing I used to say, the first time I did a divorce party, I invited a friend to do it with me because I said, you know what, if I do it myself, it's a job. And if I do it with you, it's a memory.
Yes. That's a great way to look at that. That is a phenomenal way to look at it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I have to tell you how
you have a lot of good quotes in this show, Jen. Yeah. You have a lot of good quotes.
Well,
I have
to tell you how Kathy and I partially met, Women in Comedy Festival, I think too, Boston Connection. But like we really became friends. Facebook just threw it up the other day. It showed the overlap pictures, but we realized we'd both done a Mother's Day show in Dedham, Mass. I think in a Holiday Inn, only the best. Express. Maybe. I'm trying to. It's like the Ritz-Carlton of Holiday Inns. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah, it was a nice one. They had a bar with a skirt over it, so
it's high end.
We're not just talking card table here. All right. But oh my God, it rained. Dogs and cats driving up there like 3 hours. We have to wait. We perform. I know it's going to be at least 3 hours driving home in the pouring rain. What a great way to spend my Mother's Day. But nobody usually celebrates Mother's Day anyway, so what does it matter? And Kathy came out in the car. We just started talking comedy a bit. And 2 hours later.
2 hours just sitting in a car in the parking lot of the Holiday Inn.
That's so great.
But you know, you know how comedians can talk comedy
Yes. Yes.
like actors until the last dog dies.
Yes. Well, do you know what's so interesting? I don't know if you guys have seen it, but are you familiar, both of you? Do you know Teresa Krallinger? I've got to put you in touch with her. She's another great comedian, and she's a speaker as well, keynote speaker. But I met her through another female comedian. Anyway, long story short, she's running something on Friday nights called Match Game. She's doing Match Game.
Oh, what a
So
great
she's
idea.
taking all comedians and using companies and doing their clients as the contestants. The point of the story is, so she's got 6 comedians. Afterwards, she holds like, you could have like a little Q&A. They had 160 people show up on the Zoom to watch the show. 200 were watching the Q&A after, where all the comedians just were talking about, remember that gig? Because they love hearing the horror stories about being a comedian.
Oh, we
Not
have
just horror stories, but funny stories. Obviously, comedians are great storytellers anyway, but then to hear them tell their personal story was hilarious. And we were on there. She's like, you guys can do like 15, 20 minutes. We were on there for an hour and a half after the Zoom, all talking about whatever in comedy.
And that's the most fun.
It is the most fun.
Yeah,
And, you know,
would I be mischaracterizing you to call you a road dog? I mean, that is my
no, definitely.
You're a comedy warrior, and I like to say I live in my car.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And this has been such a change. And a comedian put up on Facebook, I don't know if you've seen it. It was the funniest thing. They said, wow, in quarantine, I'm home every night. This is what it's like to be a real person.
To be normal.
I don't know what to do.
Like, but the other interesting thing that I find about it is now we can do West Coast too. I've done one LA, one San Francisco gig, and which is utterly fabulous, because usually East Coast comics, it's one thing, West Coast, it's another. And when I go visit my son in LA, I'd always try to get on a show to say to him, I have to come out, and it's to spy on him. Okay. And they would understand that.
Right.
But now I don't even pretend. I just say I'm effing coming. Anyway, but what's great is it becomes like a bringer show. He always brings his friends.
I love it.
They've been very supportive. But what I was going to say, you just have to be a little careful when your friends ask you to do West Coast shows. Was 2 hours after I said yes to a 65th birthday party, I realized she wants me at 8 o'clock her time. That's 11 o'clock my time.
Wow.
So, and not only was I sort of gently roasting her, doing 15 to 20, which I thought was going to be long, but it was all right, except for the dingbat who was eating their effing cereal. I don't mind kids or dogs. No. You got to mute the person hitting the cereal. I thought I was going to shoot somebody. But long distance. But anyway,
that's new heckling, right?
That's the new heckling. But I did get her to move it back an hour, because I can be pretty okay from 10 to 12. And the week before I'd done LA, and I said, please put me on near the beginning, because I don't know. I didn't really know if I went on 11:15 our time. Surprised me was I could do it. And I tried to do it without an assist of the Diet Coke, because I wouldn't sleep that night.
Sure.
I need a little caffeine before a show, but at 11:15, well, I'd just be giving up my Sunday if I did that. So just be careful when you do the West Coast ones, because it's I'm better earlier in the evening. I just
I never even thought about that.
But can we do it? Yes. And so that to me was interesting, that we're becoming I really feel like in this whole pandemic, as comedians, we just have to evolve. And Brian Kiley was on my pod. He was my opening podcast person, head monologue writer for Conan. And I said, you're talking about comedy, and he said, it doesn't matter how old you are, but you have to evolve. You have to be in the moment. You can't do an 80s act now.
Right.
You can't do references to the 90s now. If it doesn't matter the age, as long as you evolve.
Yes.
I just thought that was just so very wise. And right now, it's like we are like pivot ponies, or well, that's not a good.
Yeah, no, but it's exactly that. It's you have to adapt or die, really, with this. We've been talking about this so often. It's and one of the comedians I was speaking to said it's not going to be the strong that survive. It's going to be the ones that are able to adapt and figure out what is the next adaptation of comedy, because I don't know that it's going to be the same for anytime soon. I really don't.
If you don't know how to do Zoom, you're going to be left behind. It's going to be a while before the clubs open. I mean,
Right.
at least you still, when do you think your TV show, when will you get back to it? I assume it's being done from her house, from her home.
So, right, so it was at CBS Studios, but we don't know what's happening. So we won't know. I mean, no one has contacted anyone.
Tracy, for you to be creative. It was sort of, remember the Writers Guild strike way back? Lots of new sitcoms after that, lots of new movies, because when you have creative people, the switch doesn't go off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we have to put it somewhere.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I knew Catherine Rose. And so when she said she said, Jane, I need to laugh. If I don't get to laugh soon, I'm going to start reading from a joke book online. And I said, Kat, I think I can help you.
Right.
Okay. So I just, bring my funny friends, and she's been wonderful to us. And what I love about her platform is she hooks up women coaches with women in business. It's like your Mel Robbins, women in business, life, careers, to give them advice. And she also set up this wonderful thing called, I think it's called Frontline Helpers now, to help the doctors and nurses and EMT and just giving them, she got a sponsor. And so she gives them free coaching. And
that's phenomenal.
It's not just the COVID, it's the effing stress, these poor people.
Oh, yeah, these people, it's PTSD. How could you see what you've seen and not have any effect or reaction from it? There's no way it's not happening. So we have to take that into account for so many people. I mean, you're locked in your house. Luckily, we have families, but some people have been locked up that I know personally have been in their homes by themselves for 2 months without seeing anyone.
But I'd rather be by myself than with someone I didn't like.
No, definitely.
Well, there are people like that too. There were people that they don't like.
Excuse of all time. I'd like to come see you, Grandma, but I have COVID. No, I don't have COVID. But I don't want you to get COVID from me.
Right, right. But
so I think Tracy's a really good example too of like funny is funny, and that your circumstances change even temporarily, and that you can just pivot and do something different with your humor is great. It's really inspirational.
Well, I appreciate that. And one thing I would say to any comedians that are watching, especially women, the one thing I do know from doing this and from doing warm up is, to your point, Jane, when authenticity is the most important thing that I would say is the most important thing. 1. 2 is just put it out there, because you never know what something is people like. Again, when we spoke before regarding, I look at the audience and I think I'm going to give them what they want, and they want the exact opposite. Sometimes, I'm sure this has happened to both of you. You have a throwaway joke where you're like, I don't know if it's going to, and it kills, and you're staying there going like, I can't believe they love that. And then the joke that you think is going to knock the room over, there's no reaction. So I feel the same with doing things like this. This is our time during this quarantine. Just throw it out there. Just throw it out there and just be creative, because you have a captive audience. Why not? You never know what can happen.
And what's the worst thing that can happen? We're going to go back to our comedy,
Exactly.
I love that. You're like the Mel Robbins of comedians. I love that. It's so true.
I love that.
Well, the funny part is, when I spoke to Mel Robbins, I said, I would love to do what you're doing. I don't even know where to start. She's like, what are you talking about? That's what you do every day. You're doing that. I said, but I don't even know what I would talk about. And you know what's crazy? She said to me, Jane, authenticity. That's what you talk about, because that's the most important thing in comedy.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, she's right.
I think that is great.
Yeah.
But it is just by your opening for her, and then all that advice is just washing over you. I mean,
well,
you're already unstoppable, but you're going to be like double.
No, I appreciate it. You were both, I'm sure, familiar with Brene Brown, right? Brene Brown. So her big thing is, and again, vulnerability, and which when I first started comedy, that's not where I was going. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be vulnerable. But now the more vulnerable you are, the more reaction you get. And it's a scientific study where you're like, oh my God, there's science behind that.
I'm afraid I didn't have a choice on it. It's like, I'm tough. I'm Brockton tough, but like, I am naive and gullible and vulnerable.
Right.
It just, and I didn't think it was going to be a strength until it's something that makes you different. If you are it.
Yes.
It makes you different.
Yes.
And Kathy, you actually have it too, but like, it's,
it's instant from an audience perspective, watching that, it's instant likability for me. when I see a vulnerable person on stage, I just want to be with them, meaning I want good for them. So I'm like hanging on every word because I'm like, this person is like opening themselves up. And you can feel that as an audience member, you can totally tell.
So tell us about Girls Gone Green. I know that, okay, yeah.
Girls Gone Green is a podcast that I do with another comedian. Her name is Donna V. So I am a huge football fan. I don't know if you know this, but when I lived in Connecticut, I played in the WNFL. So it's a women's national football. Yeah, I played for the Connecticut Crush.
I wish you'd talk. I want to play football. I played football until they kicked me out.
You're kidding. Okay, Jane, I have to. I bet you are. You're fast. You're right. You look like you'd be fast. You're quick. Well, the funny part is when I played, obviously none of us had ever played football before. We all played other sports, but it was
fun. I actually played football with the boys until they wouldn't let me play anymore.
You did? Where did you play?
Baseball. And then, oh no, we were all just, it was 10 million kids, playing touch football. That was really touch football. Right. But with baseball, we had like a half an acre or quarter acre Hancock playground, and we all played all the sports. Oh, and I still remember where the field was, where they just said, we don't want to tackle you, Jane. We don't want to touch you. We don't want to do anything. No, but I think unfortunately that was about fourth grade, but baseball, when they said, no, you go organize softball because that's what girls do.
Yeah. Right. Well, that was my big, so Jane, you and I are kindred spirits, because when I was in, I guess it was second or third grade, we got the slips. I don't know if you remember, but they would put slips in your bag that said you could register for football or cheerleading. So I said to my parents, I want to play football. And they were like, well, no, you mean cheerleading? I said, no, I want to play football. So here's what we did. They took me there. I signed up for football for my town. And they were like, no, you want to cheerlead? I said, no, I want to play football. You would have thought they called up the local paper. They were there taking pictures. I played. My father got harassed by all the different men.
You played?
Yeah, I played in the 75-pound league. So that'll tell you how long ago that was.
But just that you played.
Yes.
Along my previous incarnation, I worked for Women's Sports Magazine.
Okay.
That Billie Jean King started. And I actually had, she gave me a pair of her old tennis sneakers, one of my prized possessions,
Wow.
But I remember covering, I covered marathon running. So I got to do, she was Japanese American, Mickey something. Anyway, she won. I did skiing. I used to do cross country skiing races, but what was the football? Actually, now I'm talking about softball, but I'm ADD. It's the same.
Right. No problem.
But I remember we were writing something about the Title IX had, come through by then. This is Pleistocene era. And this young lady got a softball scholarship to Bowdoin College. And I just remember kind of tearing up.
Yep.
Like, this is amazing, because when I went to high school, we had two sports. Boys had, football, basketball, baseball, 3 seasons, and girls had basketball. When you're 5'4", chances are, but even with that, I was a little scrapper. I was on JV basketball until my Latin grades went down. And my mother said, you might want to think about this, Jane. I'm thinking, Latin?
Right.
Basketball.
Dead language basketball.
Dead language, Rome, Brockton.
How tall are you, Jane?
I'm 5'4". I'm not a big, but I'm fast. My dad was a champion runner, and I was a good sprinter. I'm not a marathoner. I am like, I got quick twitch fibers, and that's it. Like 50-yard dash, then I'm done.
Jane, I've got to sign you up. I'm only 5'2", and I played, so you could totally play.
Was it touch or is it tackle? I'm a little old for tackle.
It was full contact, full gear tackle, just like the NFL.
So no. Janie Condon doesn't play well with concussion. I'm not going to be authentic.
Did you have a good helmet, Tracy?
Oh, sure. We had helmets. We had the whole thing, the whole gear.
Yeah, but back then, those helmets were like what?
No. I played this. This is only 10 years ago. So I played when I was little, and then I played for the WNFL, which is the Women's National Football League.
Okay. Listen, to be continued.
Oh,
we only do a half an hour. It's been 45 minutes. I just got a private message. Okay,
Hey,
you're
I have
definitely coming
questions.
back because we didn't even get to traveling or whatever.
Okay, sure.
Listen,
Please come
you've
back.
been a joy. You really made my day wonderful. Thank
Hey,
you.
well, thank you so
Amazing.
much. It's a thrill to meet you, Kathy and Catherine. And thank you for including me in this, Jane. It's so
Oh,
cool.
Are you kidding? Are you born anyway?
I
Authentic.
appreciate it.
You got the authentic up the wazoo, and I look forward to more of your music videos.
Okay, well,
That'll
check,
be really
keep
fun.
your eye out.
Okay. Love
All
you,
right, thank you,
everybody.
ladies. Be good. I'll see you soon.
Hope so.
Be safe.
You too.